Carol with Carol B Crafts. Welcome to my very first Make It Monday. Today we're going to be making this adorable little card, and this card is made using the Daisy Delight stamp set and the matching punch that goes with it. It's sold as a bundle. Now the cardstock and the paper and everything else is coming from my customer reward package, which I send each one of my customers that order $60 or more in the month of June using the host code on my website www.carolbcrafts.com. Now when I first started to make this card, I knew that I wanted to preserve this beautiful watercoloring technique that they used in the paper. So I decided to do a similar watercoloring technique on the daisy, which looks more like a Gerber daisy than it does just a regular plain daisy. And so let me tell you what it is that you'll need in the way of paper from your kit. Or if you have this at home, you can, if you don't have the kit, you probably have some of these papers or similar to them. So we have a regular 8.5 by 5.5 half sheet of Calypso Coral, scored at 4 1/4 and folded in half. Then the next panel is a white, Whisper White panel, and it's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I make myself little notes so I don't give you the wrong measurements and have to redo the video, which I've had to do before. Okay, and then our DSP panel is 3 7/8 by 5 1/8. In your kit you'll have 3 of the daisies in Whisper White, or if you have the punch, you can punch yourself out 3 white daisies from Whisper White, and we'll be watercoloring those with the Stampin' Up! Watercolor pencils, and we'll use Calypso Coral and Daffodil Delight. Those are the 2 colors that we'll be using. You'll also need 8 inches of the sheer 1/8 inch sheer Calypso Coral ribbon. That also comes in your reward kit, or if you have this at home or a similar color. The inside sentiment is going to be, you can use Daffodil Delight, but I like the So Saffron. I think the So Saffron is a more muted color, so it goes well with the watercolor look. And this is the inside panel, and it's 3 3/4 by 5 inches. And then the sentiment panel that goes on the inside, on top of the So Saffron, is 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then you'll need a strip of Whisper White for the banner that you're going to be making. You'll need it to be 5/8 of an inch wide and 5 1/2 inches long. For the little faceted gem, I'm using the gold faceted gems, and these are back in stock now, so you should be able to purchase this along with the Stampin' Up! Daisy punch is also back in stock, but I don't know how long it will be till it's on back order again. So if this is something you've been wanting, the bundle or the punch, you should go ahead and get it, because you can order it now, and hopefully you can get one before they're on back order again. So we'll be using the largest, one of the largest gold faceted gems for the center of the daisy. Now the stamps that we'll be using from the Daisy Delight, this one here, the blank solid circle for the inside, the thank you for the inside sentiment, and the your thoughtfulness brightened my day, and that's for this outside sentiment. I stamped my images, my sentiments in Calypso Coral ink. So let's go ahead and get started making our card. I think it would be a good idea to go ahead and just put together our layers, and we'll use some snail for that. Put our white layer, Whisper White layer on first. And you know I will use my little waxy strip. I put it at a diagonal, so that I can move it around to where I want it. And this is a waxy strip from the mini glue dots. Once it's in place, I can pull it out. Now we're going to put the paper on. I think I like it this way better. And we'll go ahead and put this in place. Sometimes it likes to stick. If it does, just move your waxy strip up and kind of just like saw it off. So I mean, you saw it so that you're like sawing it so that you're getting it unstuck. If that makes sense. All right, let's try that again. Of course, since I'm on camera, it's going to act out. So let's see what I can do here. I don't think I stuck it to the DSP well enough. I think that's my problem. Okay, now let's try this again. And that is looking good. Of course, I want to have it perfect. It can't always be perfect, can it? All right. That's just going to have to do. It's a little off over here, but it's a homemade card, so it has to have a few imperfections, right? Okay, so then I guess we'll do our color our daisies next. So what we're going to do is put these aside for now, get our daisies, and I'll show you how I did the coloring. I like to use the silicone mat that we sell in the Stampin' Up! Catalog. And we'll start with our yellow Daffodil Delight watercolor pencil. And if you notice in the pattern, the yellow and the Calypso Coral are kind of like mixed together. And that's what I try to recreate here. So what we'll do is we'll color, and let me come in closer here. We'll color parts of the petals with yellow. We'll start with yellow because it's a lighter color. And we're just going to do kind of a spotty, kind of not anything particular, just wherever you feel you want some Calypso Coral, you'll leave a space so you can come back later and do the Calypso Coral in the spaces that you're leaving. And I kind of go on the edge with the yellow too whenever I'm doing a petal. I go to the edge of the petal. And I don't want it really a lot of color, so if you want a lot of color you can go back and redo it a little darker, but I don't want a lot of color. So now I'm going to come back in with my Calypso Coral pencil and just kind of do where I left the white before, and it doesn't have to be perfect, you just want to get the color down. Okay, now that we've got this part done, we're going to get our little thing of water to dip our brush in. Now I don't use water in my brush. I just dip the tip in my brush in the water, but you do want the brush wet. So get all of your bristles wet, and then you're going to take a paper towel and dry it off as best you can, because it works better if the bristles are all wet. But then when you're ready to color, you're just going to dip just the very tip of your brush in the water. Start by doing the yellow, and then once you've got the yellow, it's moving in the direction you want, then you can come in and do the red or the Calypso Coral and just kind of mix it in there. And if you want, you can, if you seem to be getting too much of the Calypso Coral on the tip of your brush, you can wipe it off. But it's also good to kind of mix it in as well. Don't want to get it too wet, because then you have problems with your paper doing funky things, and you don't want that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do the other two petals off camera to save time, so that we're not here while I'm doing all of these. But you want them to let them dry just a little bit. So while these dry, we'll do our stamping. We want to get the inside sentiment panel and our little strip of 5.5 by 5/8 inch wide Whisper White. Okay, now we have our inside panel and our strip, and we need our Calypso Coral ink. And since it's photopolymer stamps, we're going to use our piercing mat. And we'll open up our ink. And on the inside sentiment will be the thank you. And I have it on a D block going crossways. It's too big to go the other way. So get this just right. And we'll put this, oh, hold on. Okay, so we'll put it right about there. Hopefully that will be good enough. Yeah, it looks good enough. Now we're going to do the little your thoughtfulness brightened my day. And that's on this little strip here. And I have that on a D block as well. So you're going to, we don't need it that full length. We're going to end up cutting some of it off. But for right now, we're just going to stamp near the edge, but we're going to leave room for to make the little flag banner. So we'll be making the little flag banner right about right here. Okay, and then the last thing that we're going to do is we'll take one of our watercolored daisies, and we'll take that solid round circle that's for the center of the daisy, and you just need a piece of scratch paper. So what you're going to do is you're going to ink up your little round solid circle. You're going to stamp off on the scratch paper, and then you're going to stamp in the center of your flower, because we don't want it full strength. We want it to look like watercolor. And if you mess up a little bit, then just take one of your other flowers and put that one on the bottom, and then do your stamping on another one. Okay, so we're done with our stamping. Let's put together our little flower, and this one's going to be on the top because it has the stamp on it. This one's a little darker than the other, so I think I'm going to put it on the bottom. And I'll use some of my glue, the multi-purpose glue. Just put a dot of the multi-purpose glue in the center. And we'll put it so the petals are alternating. And then we'll put another dot of glue in. And then we'll put this one on top, and we'll also alternate again, a little off center, just wherever you think it looks good, that's where you want it. And we'll hold that in place for a moment. Okay, next we're going to get our card out, and we'll put our inside sentiment on the inside of our panel, our So Saffron panel, with some snail. And get this evened up. That's so pretty. I love those colors together. Next we're going to do our banner. So we need to decide where we want to put it. It looks like it is 2, 6, 7, 1 3/4 inches from the bottom. So, and that's what's great about this grid paper. It makes it so easy for you to measure things. So each little square is 1/4 inch, so that would be 1 3/4. So I think I will put I'm going to mark it with a pencil. I want it even with the white, where the white panel ends. That's where I'm going to make my mark. Now you can cut that with scissors if you want. I like mine to be like perfectly straight, so I'm going to use my trimmer to cut it. Once I've trimmed it to where I want it, and I see that I still have a little bit of mark there, so I'll erase it. I'm going to find my scissors, my little snips, and make my flag for my banner, and in the middle I'm going to cut in about a little less than 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to go from this corner to the center where I stopped cutting, and then I'm going to go from this corner to the center, and that makes my little flag. So I know that I want my little flag to be even with the white panel here. So then so if I want it to end at my DSP, then I need to trim it right here. So I'm going to mark it again and bring in my trimmer. Turn it around this time so I cut it that way. All right. So now it should be even with the DSP here and even with the white edge there. And we decided it would be 1 3/4 of an inch from the bottom of the DSP, I mean the cardstock, the Calypso Coral. And I'm going to put some snail, not a lot, because I might have to move it, so I just put a little bit of snail there and there. And find my marks. So that's 1 3/4 there, and 1 3/4 there. It makes it so easy to get it level when you use the grid paper. Okay, next we're going to take our 8-inch piece of sheer Calypso Coral ribbon, and we're just going to take like the make it flat, and then put a loop up and then twist it kind of over like that, just up and then down, and it kind of looks like the Ribbon of Courage stamps that we have. So once we decide where we want it, we want our loop to be big enough so that it will go, when we put our daisy in, it shows. But we also want some tails left down here so that we have something to trim. So once we figure out where we want our ribbon to cross, we can put a glue dot there. On the ribbon, and then we can bring our ribbon around again, make it flat, and then twist it, and that's about where we want it. And then we can put another glue dot on the back, so that we can put it where we want it. And I'm thinking we don't want our daisy to cover up the "your," but we also don't want it to go over the edge either. So that looks about right. And so I'm just gonna go ahead and put it there and hope for the best. That looks good. That looks good. And now we're going to put some glue dots on the back of this. We want to make sure that it doesn't go anywhere, so I'm going to put 4 glue dots. That might be overkill, but I want to make sure it doesn't go anywhere. Alright, it's ready to put on the card, and that looks good right there. And then you can kind of fluff it up if you want to. You just want to be careful not to bend the petals so that you get a a bent crease mark in it. Now you could leave it like this if you don't have the faceted gems. I think that looks good like that. But if you do have them, and I think the gold ones look so much better than the clear. I tried the clear. Since there's a lot of yellow in this, I think the gold looks better. So I'm going to cut one of these off. Cut the plastic. And I found that it's best, rather than just pulling it off, because when I pulled the first one off, the glue stayed on the plastic and the faceted gem didn't have any sticky on the back. So it's best to take your piercing tool and slide under it to make sure you get that sticky part as well. And that also lets you use that to put it in place, so you can put it where you want it. All right, we're done with our card. I hope you liked it. It was fun making it, and it also was a little different coming up with an idea to do the watercolor, because I tried ink. I tried using Daffodil Delight ink and Calypso Coral ink, and it didn't work out. It was too dark. It just didn't go well with the paper. So hopefully you will make one of these or something similar. Thanks for watching. Check out my awesome customer reward program that I offer at my blog, www.carolbcrafts.com. Thanks and have a great day. Bye now.